Wolfgang, I know you have a router connected to DE-CIX and you run your own network. Do you also use remote peering?
Yes, I do. But first let me explain how my very small network looks like. I have the router connected in a DE-CIX rack in Frankfurt with one server behind it. I use it to test networking concepts and our product so I can verify that things I explain in my videos and presentation actually work in the real world.
And where do you peer?
Of course, I peer locally at DE-CIX Frankfurt, where my router is located, but I also use DE-CIX remote peering to peer in New York, Madrid, and a couple of other locations.
To get back to remote peering, I understand I simply order the product, configure it to my router, and it works.
Yes, it does. And remote peering is delivered on a separate VLAN on your DE-CIX access port. You just need to configure this VLAN and also the IPv4 and IPv6 addresses of the remote peering LAN. Set up BGP and you're ready to go. But depending on your network setup, you really need to be careful with the BGP configuration.
Why do I have to be careful? What is the worst that can happen?
Well, imagine two networks, both from Frankfurt, both remote peering in New York. Normally, they exchange traffic in Frankfurt. Now, if one of them disconnects in Frankfurt, suddenly that traffic is exchanged in New York, so crossing the Atlantic twice. In this case, it would be much better if their traffic flowed via their transit providers and stayed in Europe.
Makes sense. Is there any easy way to prevent this?
Yes, but you need to configure it. It is not happening by default. The idea is, at home, in this case in Frankfurt, you peer with everybody. Remote, you only peer with networks which are local to that remote IXP. So you prevent the situation that traffic goes through that remote IXP and then ends up in your local neighborhood.
What is the easiest way to configure this?
You can use the DE-CIX route servers. The route servers attach information to prefixes. They announce to you where that prefix was actually announced from. Was it announced from a local participant in New York, or was it announced from a remote participant? At remote IXPs, you only want prefixes announced from local participants to that IXP. You can also command the route servers to distribute your prefixes only to these local participants.
Where can I get more information about this?
Well, there will be a video showing that in detail on YouTube in the next weeks. Also, please search our website for the route server guide for your peering locations. So like Route Server Guide New York, Route Server Guide Frankfurt.
Thank you, Wolfgang, for these helpful explanations about remote peering.
You're very welcome.